My name is Mara. I'm 31 years old. And 6 weeks ago, I found something inside my dead mother's photo album that destroyed everything I thought I knew about my own life. Same face. Scratched out. Every single picture. Gone. I sat on her bedroom floor for 2 hours before I could stand up. My hands weren't shaking from grief anymore. Before I tell you what actually happened, if you're new here, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below, where are you watching from? Because what I found didn't just change my past. It changed my name, my blood, my entire identity. And the most terrifying part? My father Glen looked me dead in the eyes when I called him, and didn't deny a single word. Let me take you back to when it all started. Diane died on a Tuesday. No warning. No goodbye. A neighbor found her. I got the call while I was at work, coat still on, coffee still hot. I drove to her house that same night. The funeral home had already been contacted. Glen had handled everything. Typical Glen, efficient, quiet, already moving forward. I wasn't ready to move forward. I went straight to her bedroom. Her reading glasses were still folded on the nightstand. Her slippers were still beside the bed. I wasn't looking for anything. I just needed to be near her. That's when I saw the album. Brown leather. Cracked spine. Sitting on the bottom shelf of her closet, like it had always been there. I'd never seen it before in my life. I pulled it out. Opened the first page. A Christmas photo, our living room. Tinsel everywhere, Diane laughing. And in the corner of the frame, a figure. Face gone. Scraped down to bare cardboard. I turned the page. Same thing. I turned every page slowly. Not because I was careful. Because my brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. 47 photographs. 47 scratched faces. Same oval shape. Same deliberate pressure. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a child with a pen. This was Diane. Sitting alone, somewhere quiet, with something sharp, and doing this on purpose. I carried the album to the kitchen table and laid every photo out flat. All of them. Side by side. The scratched figure appeared in beach photos, birthday photos, a graduation, a New Year's party. Always in the background. Always near Diane. Never the subject. But always there. And here's what stopped me completely. The body wasn't scratched. Just the face. Whoever did this didn't want to erase the person entirely. They just couldn't look at them. I picked up one photo, where the figure's hand was visible. Resting on Diane's shoulder. Diane was leaning into it. Slightly. Barely noticeable. But I noticed. I flipped the photo over. In my mother's handwriting, faded, small, 2 words. And Ro, the ink stopped mid-name. I stared at those 2 letters for a long time. Ro. Could be Robert. Could be Rosa. Could be nothing. I flipped every photo over. Most were blank. 2 had dates. 1 had a location, Clearwater, 89. I wasn't even born yet. I went back to the closet. Not because I had a plan. Because the album came from somewhere and I needed to know what else was in there. I pushed her shoeboxes aside. Winter coats. An old handbag. Then my hand hit something hard at the back. A tin box. The kind you keep biscuits in. Except it wasn't biscuits. Inside, letters. A thick stack. Bound together with a rubber band so old it snapped the moment I touched it. The envelopes weren't sealed. I picked up the first one. The handwriting on the front wasn't Diane's. Someone had written her name. Her maiden name. Diane Holloway. Not Diane Marsh. Not my mother's married name. Her name from before Glen. Before me. Before everything. I pulled out the first letter. Unfolded it. And the first line stopped my breath completely. I still think about the night you left. Every single day. That was the first line. I put the letter down. Picked it up again. The handwriting was careful. Measured. Someone who chose every word. No last name at the bottom. Just R. I read every letter in that stack. All 19 of them. Dated between 1987 and 1993. They weren't angry letters. They weren't desperate. They were worse than that. They were tender. Patient. Someone waiting for a person who never came back. I wrote about weekends they'd shared. A blue coat Diane used to wear. A song that came on the radio and wrecked him completely. And Diane never replied. Or so I thought. Because stuffed behind the received letters was another stack. Same paper. Same pen. Diane's handwriting. Unsent. Every single one. Still folded. Still sealed inside envelopes that were never mailed. She had written back every time. She just never sent them. I opened the last letter R had sent. 1993, the final paragraph. One sentence. It hit differently than everything else. If you don't come back, I understand. But she deserves to know. She. Not he. Not they. She. I read that word 3 times. She. Written in 1993. I was born in 1994. I put the letter flat on the table. Walked to the kitchen sink. Ran cold water over my wrists. Came back. Read it again. She deserves to know. I went to my bag. Pulled out my phone. Searched for my own birth certificate. I had a photo of it from a rental application 2 years ago. I'd never looked at it closely. Never had a reason to. I zoomed in on the father's name field. Glen Arthur Marsh. That's what I expected. That's what I'd always assumed. Except the ink looked different. Slightly darker than the rest of the document. I drove home at midnight. Pulled the actual certificate from my filing cabinet. Held it under the kitchen light. The paper had a texture difference. Faint. Almost invisible. But it was there. Someone had filled that field in after the original was printed. I called Glen at 7 a.m. No greeting. No small talk. I just asked him directly. The line went quiet. Not confused quiet. Not surprised quiet. The quiet of someone who had been waiting. Dreading. Rehearsing. He exhaled once. Then said, "Your mother made me promise." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just asked him how long. He said always. From the beginning. Before the wedding. Before my first birthday. Before every school play he sat front row for. He knew walking in. I asked him why he stayed. He said, "Because you were already mine." I didn't know what to do with that. So I pushed it aside. I needed facts, not feelings. I asked him about R. He went quiet again. Different quiet this time. Tighter. He said he didn't know a name. Said Diane never told him. Said he never asked because he didn't want to know. I didn't believe him. But I let it go. I went back to the letters. R mentioned a street once. Callaway Drive. Mentioned a diner called Patsy's. Mentioned working with his hands, something about timber, measurements, early mornings. I opened my laptop. Searched Patsy's Diner and Callaway Drive together. One result. Small town. Harwick. 4 hours from where Diane raised me. I searched for men named Raymond in Harwick. Age range 55 to 65. 3 results on Facebook. I clicked the second one. And I stopped breathing entirely. His profile photo was a man standing outside a hardware store. Gray at the temples. Strong jaw. Calloused hands visible even in a small thumbnail. I almost scrolled past him. Then I saw his eyes. I enlarged the photo. My phone screen cracked slightly at the corner from how hard I gripped it. Those were my eyes. Exact shape. Exact color. That particular downward pull at the outer corners that I'd never seen on Glen. Never seen on Diane. Never been able to explain in any mirror my entire life. Until right now. His name was Raymond Callahan. Harwick, born 1965. Carpenter. Married. 2 sons. A normal life. A complete life. Built entirely without knowing I existed. I scrolled his page slowly. A birthday post from 3 weeks ago. His wife tagged him. Comments from neighbors, coworkers, his sons. A whole world. Warm. Loud. Full. And nowhere in any of it, any trace of Diane. Any trace of loss. Any trace of a woman he once loved who never wrote back. Either he had moved on completely. Or he was very good at hiding it. I opened a new message. Typed his name. Deleted it. Typed it again. Deleted everything. Started over 11 times. Then I just wrote, "I think you knew my mother. Her name was Diane." Sent it before I could stop myself. I put my phone face down. Went to work the next day. Answered emails. Ate lunch. Pretended everything was normal. Checked my phone 19 times before noon. Nothing. Day 2, nothing. I started convincing myself I was wrong. The eyes were a coincidence. The letters were old. Diane had secrets that had nothing to do with me. I almost believed it. Almost. Day 3, I opened his profile again. His last post was from 4 days ago. He was active. He had seen it. He just wasn't responding. That stung differently than I expected. I closed the app. Told myself I was done. Washed dishes. Folded laundry. Went to bed early. My phone buzzed at 11:47 p.m. I saw the notification preview from the lock screen. One line. Facebook message. Raymond Callahan. I sat up. Stared at it for 4 full minutes without unlocking my phone. Whatever was on the other side of that screen was going to change something permanently. I could feel it. I unlocked it. Opened the message. Read it once. Read it again. Put the phone on my chest and stared at the ceiling. He had written back 7 words. Just 7. I've been waiting 30 years for this. We moved to phone calls within 2 days. His voice was steady. Low. The kind of voice that had learned to stay calm through difficult things. He didn't ask me questions immediately. He just started talking. Said he and Diane met in Harwick in 1986. Said it wasn't casual. Said they were engaged by 1988. Had a date set. A venue booked. Then one morning Diane didn't show up where she was supposed to. No call. No letter. No explanation. Just gone. He drove to her parents' house. They said she'd left town. Wouldn't say where. He waited 6 months. Then a year. Then heard through someone that she'd married a man named Glen and moved 4 hours away. He said he didn't chase her. Said he respected that she'd made a choice even if he didn't understand it. Built his life slowly after that. Met his wife in 1997. Had his boys. Moved forward. But he never understood why. That part never closed. I asked him directly, did he know about me? Complete silence. Then, I didn't know you existed until your message. His voice cracked. Just once. Then steadied again. But I have a box too. And there's something in it that belongs to you. We agreed to meet halfway. A coffee shop in a town neither of us had history in. I arrived first. Sat facing the door. Watched every person who walked in. Then he walked through. And my body knew before my brain did. Same eyes. Same jaw angle. Same way of scanning a room before committing to entering it. I do that too. I've always done that. He sat down across from me. We shook hands. Both of us awkward. Both of us trying not to stare. He brought a shoebox. Plain. Worn at the corners. He pushed it across the table without explanation. I opened it slowly. Inside, letters. Diane's handwriting. Dozens of them. Postmarked. Actually sent. She had written to him after all. Just not to the address he'd had before. He had moved twice. These letters had been forwarded. Arrived years late. Some opened. Some still sealed. I picked up a photograph beneath the letters. Diane. Young. Laughing at something off camera. Completely unguarded. A version of her I had never seen. Not once in 31 years. I set it down. Reached back into the box. My fingers hit something small. Plastic. I pulled it out. A hospital bracelet. Newborn size. I read the name tag. Baby girl Callahan. Date. March 1993. I held the bracelet without speaking. Raymond watched me. Didn't rush. Didn't explain. Just waited. I looked up at him. Asked him what happened. He exhaled slowly. Said he didn't know the full story until years later. A mutual friend from Harwick had told him eventually. Diane had been pregnant before she disappeared. Early 1993. She never told Raymond. Never gave him the chance to show up. She had gone through it completely alone. A baby girl. Born too still. Too quiet. 3 months before I was born. Raymond found out in 2006. 13 years after it happened. Said he sat in his truck for 2 hours when he heard. Said he grieved something he never even knew he'd lost. I turned the bracelet over in my fingers. Thought about Diane in that hospital room. Alone. No Raymond. No Glen yet. Nobody. Then I thought about the album. 47 photos. 47 scratched faces. I had assumed it was anger, hatred, betrayal. It wasn't any of those things. Diane hadn't scratched Raymond's face out because she hated him. She scratched it out because every time she looked at him she saw that hospital room. That bracelet. That silence. Looking at his face meant remembering everything she had buried. And she had been burying it my entire life. We sat in that coffee shop for 3 hours. Nobody rushed to leave. Raymond ordered 2 coffees neither of us finished. I showed him the album on my phone. Every scratched face. He looked at each photo without speaking. Then he did something I didn't expect. He smiled. Small. Sad. Said she kept every single one. Not angry. Not bitter. Just that. I hadn't thought about it that way. Diane hadn't thrown the photos away. Hadn't burned the letters. Hadn't erased him completely. She had kept everything. Every photo. Every memory. Just couldn't look at his face without falling apart. I drove home alone that night. Sat with the album on the kitchen table. Opened it from the beginning. This time I held my phone flashlight at an angle behind each scratched photo. And through the damaged cardboard, faint but visible, I could see the ghost of a face underneath. Raymond's face. Still there. Just hidden. I went through all 47. Every single one. He was still in every photograph. She had never actually removed him. Just covered him. There's a difference. I called Glen that night. Told him what I'd found. He listened without interrupting. When I finished he said, "She loved you more than she could explain." Both of them did. I closed the album. Left it on the table. Didn't put it away.